folks, so got my parts in. I got my new ignition switch and new turn signal switch. Now the thing is, with the ignition switch, I guess later Mopars use these wires external, you know, the power and the ground. Well, it's actually an accessory, the black. But since I'm using pre-1976 Mopar, what you're gonna do is install basically these wires into the clip, or into the harness, I should say. And we're gonna go do that right now. So let me go on, head out to the garage. All right, back in the garage. Got my kerosene pumping. It's 32 degrees outside, but let's go on and get to what we gotta get done. Oh yeah, and also just gonna show you that you are gonna need the the steering wheel puller. Got this from AutoZone, part number 27017. And also forgot to mention that if you ever broke one of these pins, I don't know if anybody remember the last video, I broke one of the pins in here. So you can go to the parts store, Advanced Auto, I went, and they do have the connectors in here, and that part number is 85377. So it's basically the pin. See how this one is missing the pin? If my camera will focus. But yeah, it has this exact same pin in that little variety pack. So let's get on cracking. Alright folks, so we're going basically, first thing we're going to do, take off the steering wheel. We're going to use either a 12 or a 7/16. Get these 3 bolts off. So then you're going to want to get your 22. Not a 22 caliber, but a 22 socket to get off the basic nut that's holding on the steering column, which I'm getting off now. Alright, so I got the steering wheel puller in position. As you see, the best way to do it, you got to slide one side in and then turn it around to slide the other side in. So then after you do that, what you're going to want to do is put the puller or the silver part, line it up basically with the steering shaft. If you could see it, my damn camera line up. Put one bolt in, just hand tighten a bit, then line up the other side, do the same, hand tighten, and I forgot the dang washers. Damn. Oh man, I gotta go put the stupid washer. I gotta take it back out and put this washer on, basically to build pressure. So basically you'll see that in the next shot. Alright, so this is how it's supposed to look. And I basically just use my hands, but you probably have to use like a 16 on this if I'm not mistaken. And then it's a 14 on the silver bolts. So now I am back. I got the turn signal exposed. So now we just gotta get ourselves a Phillips and a screwdriver. I mean a Phillips and a flat to get the indicator one off. That's a flat. And then the Phillips screws to get the turn signal. And since I'm changing ignition switch at the same time, I'm gonna have to go deeper. So let's go on and get to it. Alright, so I just wanted to show you something. If you look at my existing turn signal switch and then you look at the new one, see how the top right corner has, like, unless it fell off and broke, but you see how the brass part is there, but on this one there's nothing there. And on top of that, it doesn't even have the wires going to it. So maybe that's what was shorting out my dang my fuse, my number 10 fuse right here. So we're gonna see once I take this thing apart and put the new one in. But all the wirings somewhat, it's the same, but it's different colors, but it should operate the same basically. Because look, you can see it's got white instead of pink, it got blue here, and the green, and they got yellow here. So let's see how everything goes once I put everything together. Oh shit, look what this came in the mail just a second ago. My side marker lights I got off eBay for $250. Here's the, I guess it's the front, powder coated, the brackets. Let me see what else. Cool. I'm gonna install these things. There we go. Got all 4 for $250. It's surprising how expensive these things are. Yep. So what I'm missing is I need the rear bracket. I need one more of these brackets. I'm gonna look, and not bad for $250. The only thing I need to do is get one more of these plugs right here. Gotta get more. Find one of these. Yeah, that's it. But still not a bad for $250. New ones cost like $400 something, almost $500 for new ones. So yeah, I think I scored. I'm gonna plug these in and make sure these work too. Alright folks, after you get those 3 screws, you're gonna get these other 2 screws. One here, one there, and one here. So you can basically have more play to get down into the plate to basically pull off the turn signal. So I'm gonna take those 3 screws out and we're gonna go deeper in this. Alright, so got it out. I slid it out. So you know, as usual, you always want to compare old and new parts. So I could get, so here we are. This is a little bit more stiff, so I could show the old compared to the new, and basically all looks the same. Just newer, the only difference, some of the colorways have changed and design on the top left, but overall everything is still about the same. But let's get more cracking on it. Go after the ignition switch. So now we got to take off the snap ring right here. Oops, see my finger on the snap ring. Take that off so you can basically pull this up once you knock the pin out right there. So that's what I'm gonna do next. Alright, so you can see I got the pin out right here where my punch is touching. Got that plate off. Now we're down to expose of the ignition switch. So now we're just gonna get our 3 Phillips, take off those 3, and that should do it. And that's basically how you replace the ignition switch part 2, because I did do that for the ignition solenoid. So now you can know how to replace your ignition switch and turn signal switch at the same damn time. So yeah, let me get this one out and compare it to the new one. Alright, I know some probably would have done it without taking off this column holder upper bracket, I guess. But I just took it off so it'd be easier for me to access and tape the stuff to it. And those, you just get 11 to those and just take it off right here. So now I got this out so I could take out the ignition switch easier. So now you're gonna see me reinstall everything. So as you can see, my old switch compared to my new switch, you see where the black wire goes. The black wire basically is the next wire after the yellow and the blue, and then you got the brown wire, and then you got the power wire, the power wire, and that's the red wire. So you just push those in those correct spots and you'll be ready to go, because you know it's just gonna be plug and play on the other end. So that's what I'm gonna do now once I install everything back. So now everything works. I got the ignition switch installed, got the 3 bolts screwed holding the ignition switch in. So now I'm gonna put the big plate on and basically do step-by-step reinstalling everything back, and I'll show you the process. So let's go. All right folks, so once you got your ignition switch back in, you want to put this plate back on. It's basically so the steering column doesn't come up. This locks it in place, and you got to put the pin in. Make sure you put it in where there's going to be like some slots, like a groove. Make sure you put that side in backwards. So basically you put the smooth side in because it's going to go in smoother, and then that part like locks it in. Then don't forget to put on your snap ring, and don't forget to, before you do this, install the turn signal switch through the top column part. I don't even know what you call this one, but install it through there, run it down. So now we're going to be ready to basically finish up installing the turn signal coupler part. Alright folks, so once you get, I guess, that little coupler part back on, you're going to want to install your, basically your lever for your turn signal. Reason being, so you could be able to access the top and bottom bolts. See, when I have it on the left turn signal, you can't get to it. So you want to install that first so you could basically be able to access those bolts. And yeah, I'm basically done. All I gotta do is put on the crush can, and that's it. Go and check everything and see if that was my issue. But I think that might have been my issue. Shout out to the, I forgot the guy that commented, said probably turn signal. Shout out to him. But yeah, that's it. So now I'm just gonna wire everything back up and see what happens. So that's how you install a turn signal switch and ignition switch on 70 through 74 cudas. or Challengers. So peace. So I got everything working. See that? And you remember this wasn't working, but now it's working. My left turn signal. So I guess the turn signal switch was the issue on that problem. But the only problem I'm having now is that the hazard light does not work unless I put the turn signal, and I keep blowing the 10 amp fuse on the fuse box. That's that one right here, the one that's empty. But what I know is it's most likely a ground issue, so I'm not gonna worry about it because I probably didn't ground some of these other wires, so it's fine with me. So now I'm gonna start working on the Gen 3 Hemi harness. Got all my paperwork and notes, so I'm gonna start studying that, figuring out which wire goes where and what does what, and start basically doing that wiring, because this stuff pretty easy. So the next time when I have everything, hopefully the engine will be running by then, I will have this all squared away, all the grounds checked, everything good. So I'm not worried too much about that. That's just one little thing, but I got the main stuff done. The ignition switch and the turn signal switch, both brand new, so I ain't gotta worry about that, and no issues there. So more to come. Peace.